CTV News at 6 with Joe Perkins.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. We will have the very latest on yesterday's tragic school shooting in Connecticut coming up in a moment. But first, we begin in Saanich, where holiday cheer was temporarily replaced with shock after a sign telling people not to donate popped up in the last place you would expect it, over the shoulders of a volunteer working for the Salvation Army. But many say what's more shocking than that is who the sign singled out. It's a holiday greeting no shopper expects.
Big black bold letters that said, if you support gay rights, please do not donate.
But as traffic passes and shoppers enter Tillicum Shopping Centre this morning, this is what they see.
I would never think that a charity would ask people not to donate.
Andrea LeGood spent the morning at the mall, finishing up the last of her Christmas shopping. As she left, she expected to see Kettle volunteers. But not this.
I was surprised, and I confronted the young man. I asked him if the Salvation Army was aware that he was wearing that sign while he was collecting donations, and he said that he received permission that morning.
Others saw it too.
And I think that it's absolutely disgusting.
News of the sign quickly spread, and within an hour, the operation is shut down.
Well, our Kettle supervisor immediately went down to the site and closed it. She relieved the volunteer of his duties for today.
The Salvation Army says the volunteer was provided by a local volunteer agency.
We don't discriminate against any sect of the public.
Online, the Salvation Army has a message saying it affirms the New Testament standard of marriage, which it describes as the voluntary and loving union for life of one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others. Perhaps this volunteer had a message of his own.
In the past couple of years, we haven't had something so bold happen.
Saanich police were called but left calling the incident a mall situation.
Where are you? Downstairs.
The volunteer's future with the Salvation Army remains unclear. For now, the charity is down one man at a time when help is needed most. The Salvation Army says it will meet with the volunteer agency and the volunteer in the coming days. A missing Oak Bay woman has been found. 22-year-old Lila Zakis was found, last night at a home in Langford. She was reported missing yesterday after not being seen for more than a week. Oak Bay police say Zakis is in good health. Unfortunately, it remains a different story for another family searching for a daughter. 26-year-old Emma Filipoff has not been seen since late November. Her mother, Shelley Filipoff, flew across the country this week to find her. And she says she isn't giving up.
I guess I'm afraid to be more than 5 minutes from where she might be, or if she reaches out, if she does, if she is somewhere and decides to reach out. I don't want to be an hour west of Ottawa. I want to be down the road from her. So I guess really I'm leaning towards staying.
Filipoff says she will continue putting up posters of her daughter's picture and work on the Help Find Emma Filipoff Facebook page. Anyone with any information into Filipoff's whereabouts is asked to call Victoria Police. RCMP in Lake Cowichan had a busy morning, arresting 3 men involved in a fight at a house party. Police say the men were arrested from this home, the same location where a dog escaped from before being shot late last month. In November, we showed you the man who shot the dog, who says he only did it because his neighbor was being attacked by the animal. Neighbors say last night's party got out of control and one man threw another person off a balcony. A shellfish distributor on the North Island has the BC Centre for Disease Control sounding the alarm over a fatal form of food poisoning. Packages of frozen and jarred cans of clams and salmon could cause shellfish poisoning and botulism, which is an often fatal form of food poisoning. The shellfish came from an area in Port Hardy closed to shellfish harvesting and wasn't processed at a government-approved facility. It was sold online through the website buyselltrade.ca. The packaging has no identification. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans is investigating the matter. Turning our attention outside now, it was a big day for weather, which translated into big waves off the shores of Vancouver Island. Strong winds almost blew over the brave few who ventured out in the gusty conditions today. At Clover Point, large waves sent logs crashing into the shore. It also made traveling a bit of a headache for many ferry passengers who had to ride out the storm on land. There were several canceled sailings at terminals from Campbell River to Victoria today, stranding passengers for hours. Sailing between Departure Bay and Horseshoe Bay didn't get back on track until around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and Duke Point also saw some cancellations. People trying to get from Tsawwassen to Swartz Bay were also stuck after ferries were docked thanks to the nasty conditions. BC Ferries also helped with a rescue mission off Tsawwassen after a boat started taking on water. In the air, Helijet was also forced to cancel flights this evening due to the freezing conditions. That wind warning, which was in effect for most of the island, was in effect for most of the day. Winds were gusting at around 100 kilometers an hour in some areas. Ferries and flights weren't the storm's only victims. Wind also claimed the third annual Figgy Pudding Caroling event. Well, it's the time of year when people like to give, and this weekend the giving sure did continue. Today, BC Transit was in the driver's seat, leading the charge back for another year with their annual Stuff the Bus food and toy drive. A double-decker BC Transit bus spent the day in the Safeway parking lot at Cowichan Mall collecting food donations for the Mustard Seed Food Bank, as well as toys for the One Up Single Parent Resource Centre and the Sydney Lions Club. Their goal to match last year's haul and drive away with 2,500 pounds of food.
We need a lot, but the community has always stepped up and supported us in the past and have done a fantastic job, so we just hope we can do it again this year.
At every Safeway, you can find $5 and $10 prepackaged gifts ready to go for families in need. And look who we found this morning doing her part to help out a friend of the CTV News family, CTV reporter Stephanie Sherlock's oldest daughter, Lucy.
Well, it's really important because not a lot of people have that many food that they can eat, and so it's always nice to have something that you can eat during the holidays, because it's always nice to eat something, you know?
It sure is. Well said, Lucy. If you didn't make it out today, you still have another chance to give. Stuff the Bus will be at Cowichan Mall again tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. accepting donations. They'll also be at the Safeway in Sydney. Well, if you believe in things like movie days like I do, this might be it. The perfect movie day. Cold temperatures, heavy winds, a great day to head to a movie theater, and making things that much better, the arrival of a movie Tolkien fans have been waiting almost an entire decade for.
What is it? My name is Bilbo Baggins.
It's Bilbo's big debut. 9 years after the release of the Lord of the Rings finale, its prequel, The Hobbit, has finally hit theaters. The movie is based on Tolkien's novel about a hobbit, Bilbo Baggins, who embarks on an epic quest. Well, at Silver City this afternoon, cars were packing in the parking lot for an afternoon spent at the theater.
We loved all three of the Lord of the Rings, the first movies, and all of our families read the books. So it's a natural for us to go see it, although the reviews haven't been great. So I'm on the fence, but I know you're not.
Yeah, no, I absolutely want to go see it.
South of the border, the anticipation for the prequel was a little bit different. Two men, clearly J.R.R. Tolkien fans, spent 3 months building this house, or Hobbit hole, all in anticipation for the release of the movie. It cost them a couple $100 and whatever they could round up from their parents' homes. The men, though, they vowed to live in it until the premiere.
If you're gonna go through life with no passions, that's not life. I mean, we're kind of nerdy, but we are so into this. We are super fans. Grew out my beard all year just for this movie. Our loving mothers have contributed greatly to our costumes. They sewed it.
Reviews of the nearly 3-hour adventure have been mixed. Richard Roper says, quote, "There's no denying the majesty in Peter Jackson's visuals, but he's taken a relatively slim children's book and stretched it beyond the limits." The LA Times calls it, quote, "solid and acceptable instead of soaring and exceptional." I didn't make it through the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but The Hobbit I did read. It was a good book, and I highly recommend it before anyone goes to see the movie. That's it for tonight's edition of CTV News at 6. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your Saturday. We will see you back here tomorrow night, same time. Until then, take care.